And we welcome you to Futbol Fridays here on Hornet Radio. Ryan Osborne joined by Joseph Pavlenko, Becky Nguyen, and Mark Pavlovich here on a Friday night/afternoon where Fullerton College looks to get a real hold here, Mark, of the Orange Empire Conference.
Yeah, I mean, if they win tonight, basically the competition for the title of the OEC champions is over. Their next goal will be playoffs and see what they're doing. I think right now you're going to have a few teams that are going to make it in the playoffs from the OEC. If you look at the power rankings, that's really the area that they're going to get into. But right now, definitely this Fullerton team, Cypress College, will definitely make it in to the playoffs. It'll be interesting. I've called it. For the women's side, who I think is going to make it. Joe, you talked about it earlier, and you said, if this team makes the playoffs, how far are they going to go? Ryan Osborne, I'll take the heat later. I love my Cypress team. I think there's a good chance that Cypress and Fullerton could meet in the Southern Section Championship game to play for the state title.
Yeah, and the way that things are going, Mark, you mentioned that hold for Fullerton College, and then also the fact that they could meet each other later on. For Fullerton, if they get a win tonight, they will be exactly 2 games above Cypress with 4 matches left to play. And as we saw before, Mark, 1 draw, 1 win for Fullerton College. It means that they do own the tiebreaker. So it means that you'd be up 2 games, 2 matches, with 3 matches left in hand, essentially.
Yeah, and guys, let's be realistic. Joe, as much as you watch this team, and Ryan, they're good. But they've got somebody sitting on their shoulder. Guys, they've played matches that I thought they should have lost or tied at best. They've gotten lucky this year, and you need to be lucky sometimes to win state championships.
Well, we were talking about this earlier, Mark. I think it's a little bit more than luck. I think it is that eye of the tiger, that winning game mentality, whatever you want to call it. It is the ability to, under pressure, be able to find the win, whether it's in the last 30 seconds or the last 90 seconds of the game.
So as we get set for kickoff here, we're going to run through the starting lineups for Cypress. As Cypress College and their starters so far.
Excuse me?
Hold on, wait
a minute.
I said Cypress.
I'm at the wrong school.
Santiago Canyon College. Excuse me. Wow. I apologize on that one. But Santiago Canyon College, I looked up for a second, saw the white uniforms like we saw last week, and got completely confused. But
Ryan was dazed and confused.
I was indeed. A communication breakdown, as Led Zeppelin would say. It is Diego Saldivar who will start in goal as he's watching things begin here. Joined by Braden Sermonelli in addition to Hudson Dare, Tristan Amacio, Ricky Walker, Luis Martinez, Sam Everakes, Tenzin Wangdu, joined by Tanner Ryby, Shane Valdez, and Brandon Baruch. That's the 11 for Cypress. We're going to flip it over to the other side for Fullerton College. A different lineup as we have seen throughout the entirety of the season for Fullerton. They like to change things up, and they begin with Andrew Barragan, who will get the start here tonight. Evan Yole with Cisco Torres, joined by Cesar Marquez, Hayden Kenny, and Hector Guevara. Max Ron with Jacob Ponce, Jair Vargas, Brandon Acevedo, and Andrew Areola.
All I can say to you, Ryan, is no more candy for you.
Oh, man, already offering me candy right off the bat as Fullerton College will retreat into their own end. And on the other side for Santiago Canyon, they're trying to get things going, just underway here in the first half of play. Fullerton College going from left to right with Santiago Canyon going from right to left. If you're watching online, Fullerton College is in their home navy blue kits, as they always are, with their numerals in white with no outlining. On the other side for Santiago Canyon, they are in the all-white uniforms with navy blue. Actually, we'll call it more of a royal blue type of numeral with also royal blue outlining as well. Fullerton College moving up the park with Jair Vargas. He's going to lay it all the way back to Evan Yule, a guy that Joe and I talked to yesterday, actually, about his positioning, which we'll get to later on here. But Evan Yole, as you described him, as Joe has also described him, he's a very quiet type player who is always going to continue to make the correct decision.
Yeah, what I like about him, and you will watch this Fullerton team defensively, they leave him back by himself like he's a sweeper. And, I mean, I think he's one of the sneakiest fast guys in the game of soccer on the community college level.
Little floater. Hayden Kenny was looking for it. He would have been offside had he gotten to it. And instead it gets taken away and pushed up by Ricky Walker. Walker lays it back for his goalkeeper and Saldivar. Saldivar will sky it over to the left, and it will get on out of play. Fullerton College, as we mentioned, going from left to right. Joe, you talked to Evan yesterday. He was a very thorough person when breaking down his positioning whenever he has the opportunity to go up against an offensive player.
He was, and he he explained how he views the field with that same kind of eagle eye perspective that kind of you hear keepers talk about. They're able to get the whole big picture of the field and see plays developing. And I know on Futbol Fridays we've called the keepers quarterbacks on the field essentially, because sometimes they make those plays. They they holler at people, have them make those adjustments, get into position, maybe fill some gaps in coverage because they're able to see the plays as they're developing. Turns out we have two minds like that on the field. We have got two technicians, as it were, and with Kenny as one of the coaches on the team, I guess it shouldn't surprise us that we have two tactically minded players on the field. I can't talk tonight. It's been a day.
You know what? We all have had too much candy.
With how Evan Yole likes to get that big picture feel of the field and see things developing.
Fullerton sees that one get away from them, from Acevedo specifically, skies it away. Goes out, and Fullerton will have themselves a throw-in. You're on not even a crisp night, it's just a nice cool night in Fullerton. A very different change from what we have seen over the last couple of months of calling Futbol Fridays as we enter November. The year has gone oh so quickly.
Yeah, if you tuned into the stream earlier, we took the temperature readings. It's a nice 69 degrees here in Fullerton on this Friday night.
Yeah, you guys are inside. Stand out here and tell me it's nice and crisp.
I've got a jacket for you, Mark.
No,
I know what he's talking about. I feel fine.
Yeah, exactly.
5 minutes gone here in the first half. Fullerton and Santiago Canyon, these two teams, Mark, you mentioned it before the broadcast started. Fullerton played Santiago Canyon earlier this season. That was at Santiago Canyon and decisively ended up winning that one. But if you look at Fullerton, they still have a little bit of work to do if they're going to continue to move forward in the Orange Empire Conference.
Yeah. And we got an inadvertent handball on that one. And, you know, the thing is, too, you've got to realize Santiago Canyon, all grass. This is turf. Is that two different type of soccer games? You betcha. And people need to realize that when you think about where these teams play most of their games.
Well, I mean, if we want to get into the nitty-gritty of it, it's two different types of soccer games. One field lending itself to potentially better play and more injury-free play, and one field potentially statistically leading itself to more ACL injuries on the field.
Well, and it's interesting you mentioned that, Joe, because a lot has been made about studies on different styles of whether it be turf, whether it be grass, what different type of grass, too, because you also got to take that into account, Mark. I mean, if you go back in the days of baseball, football, soccer as well, you can go back to the discussions about Bermuda grass and bluegrass and whether or not that was going to affect how players were going to play.
I love bluegrass. Great music.
But Fullerton College, with their brand new home on the blue turf and also the gray turf as well, sees this one scooped over towards the left to Hudson Dare. Dare is going to poke it towards the middle. Fullerton does clear, and they get it away temporarily to Amacio. Amacio gets taken down just outside the box. And here's a great chance, guys, for Santiago Canyon to set up how they want to play the rest of this afternoon or this night, as they are going to be, we'll call it 5 yards outside the box, slightly off to the left.
Yeah, and this is one of those things, if you are a fan of Santiago Canyon, this is where you want to get that first initial break. But I don't know, Joe, you know, you use the word waking up that tiger that's just sitting there. Sort of sometimes think maybe it's not a good thing to aggravate Fullerton early in a game.
No, I mean, I think all three of us here on the broadcast, history buffs, and I believe there's a saying that was said in American history or, you know, by leaders of the world at one point in history saying, we woke up the sleeping giant. That's something you never want to do.
Exactly.
Braden Sermonelli skies this one away. Just a miss hit there. He was trying to do something very similar to what Cesar Marquez ended up showing us yesterday on the Coaches Show, which will play at the half. But he was trying to get that one to curl over top of the wall and ends up just getting underneath it a shade. And now it will be a goal kick coming up for Fullerton College.
You know, that sort of mimics Joe's demonstration of a Joe kick.
A Joe kick, okay.
A Joe kick.
Joe kick.
I was going to say it was a beautiful little curve to it, but yeah, he just gave it a little too many beans. Just too much to it.
Toss in for Santiago Canyon. They're going to chase back. Hayden Kenny on the run, wants to pressure. Does so just for a moment, and getting away from it is Saldivar. And Saldivar will find his back line. Back line with Wang Du as one of the center backs. Fullerton takes it away with Cisco Torres, goes off his left foot, and Santiago Canyon will get it back. So for the most part in the early going, we're sitting about 8.5 minutes gone in this one. Santiago Canyon has had the majority of the possession to this point. And they are trying to get themselves on the board first, which is, you know, obviously an understatement for any program that is going to play in a competitive game. You want to get on the board first, but it's imperative for Santiago Canyon because, unfortunately, if you are a Hawk fan, they just haven't been able to get the results that they want once they do go down early in a match. Here's Fullerton College, a chance for Marquez. He gets it off his right foot, deflected away, and Wang Du is there to cover.
That was some great defending right there. Clean. Yeah, he kind of took a misstep because some of that tackling there, but not enough to it to actually take him down and draw any kind of whistle or call from the official.
Positionally good, and that's something that Joe, you and Mark have talked about throughout the entirety of the season. Is this one's laid over towards the left side, scoots along the foot of Everakes, and Everakes is going to have to watch this one go out. Does it go off of Fullerton? That's the question. It does, and Torres is going to have to retreat. Lights taking effect here at Hal Scherbeck Field. Rayo Linda Hills becoming the only thing you can see. Throwing far side. Torres gets a piece of it. Chased up, goes away from Sermonelli. He'll have to watch for a moment. Fullerton keeps it in just inside the touchline. Ariola scoops it back, all the way back to Barragan. Barragan changed over.
There we go. After our talk with Evan Yole earlier this week, noticed him on that run right there, kind of directing traffic with the keeper, telling him, no, you got it, I'm going to run over here.
And Kenny chasing after it, he commits the foul. Flag goes up on the near linesman, and it will end up allowing for Santiago Canyon to take possession.
Ryan, you're a hockey guy. I make a lot of Mighty Duck references on the broadcast. Hayden Kenny, one of the more physical players on the team. I've said he's one half of a Bash brother almost. Do you think if we had another player like Hayden Kenny that was equally as physical, that it could change things offensively for Fullerton, or do you think we'd see too many fouls being drawn?
No, I think that if you look at it play style-wise, right? Hayden Kenny is a very physical type player, but the way that he plays, as we were told, volleyball setter. You're going to establish your position, use your hips to gain position, and then box someone out and distribute. I think if you're looking for that more traditional number 9 guy, I don't necessarily think he's that textbook number 9. I think he's kind of an in-between because he can run. He has excellent speed, he gains the ball well, and he's able to distribute. I think that's different than a traditional 9 that you would see on the field. If you talk about adding someone to it who's as physical as Kenny but doesn't have that same distribution and is more of a finishing type player, not that Hayden Kenny can't be. We saw that plenty last year. He was able to do more than enough finishing and get on the scoreboard. But if you're looking for more of a finishing first type player, I think that would also complement him as well. So if you're looking for more of a Dean Portman type of player, that would slot in well.
Well, and Hayden Kenny has managed to find the back of the goal this season, too, I believe, at least a handful of times, right?
He has. And, Mark, you saw him at Saddleback. It seemed like he was starting to heat up.
Yeah, and what it did is you watched him play from both ends of the field. And when he goes one-on-one against somebody, he's extremely talented to be able to put moves on other players and defy logic on what he's doing.
So to steal a phrase that one of our listeners in Pasadena would say, he is a box-to-box player, we could say.
Here's Vargas trying to lay this one over towards the right as it goes away from Acevedo. And he'll try to see this one end up going as a goal kick.
Yeah,
but whoever said that was absolutely correct.
You know, I often wonder why he's not more of a prolific scorer. But I like this team because, guys, if we had to lay bets down for dinner and say who was going to score first, pick who's ever playing tonight, and that would be the one. You can't pick one player. You'd have to pick 10.
Well, and I think there's a handful of players. I think last week, two weeks ago, either before the broadcast on the air. No, I think it was to halftime with you and me, Mark. We were talking about, fan favorites in the booth. Mine, Hayden Kenny, Max Ron comes to my mind as well. But all of us had different players on this team that we all felt came together to help, build the entire puzzle that is the Fullerton College football program.
Oh, you couldn't be more right, Joe. I mean, it really is fun to watch this team because we can get dazzled by anybody any certain night when they're out here at Fullerton or on the road.
Fullerton on the takeaway. Able to bring it up to Acevedo. And Acevedo, we'll see that intercepted by Luis Martinez. Martinez, near side of your screen. Pressure there by Vargas. Little give and go there, doesn't connect. And it is, in fact, Yole, the field commander for Fullerton, who ends up bringing it forward.
Field general.
He's going to boot this one forward, and it ends up going right back to Fullerton College by way of Saldivar. Battle in the air, goes off of Baruch. Baruch finds a teammate. This might be offside. It is not. And catching up to it is Amacio. Amacio looking for someone. He had Dare. Hudson Dare takes it back, looking for his left foot. Here's Dare. Dare, a little scooper, and Barragan is there to make the catch. Two-handed grab there by Barragan, and he is able to take us into the 15th minute of play with no score.
And, that's one thing, Ryan, I know you've talked about him, but I just don't think the goalies, whomever is in goal for Fullerton, get enough love. I mean, I'm just going to put it out there. One of the reasons this Hornet team is where it is, what's their current goal against, Ryan? I know easily for both of them it's under 1.
Yeah, so far Barragan actually has a 0. This is his second match started. Then you also have Steven Martinez, who has a .64, and Ryan Marino Rojas with a .92. So if you're thinking about those two numbers in your own mind, you got to think they're averaging under a singular goal a game. You look at Martinez, he's averaging just above 1/2 goal a game. So if you're Fullerton, like you said, Mark, you've got those goalkeepers who are keeping you in it at all times. You got to give a lot of credit to Miguel Batista, who is the goalkeepers coach for Fullerton.
Oh, exactly. I mean, they're so precise. They're so quick.
Well, and with this keeper squad that we have here on Fullerton, Ryan, Mark, would you say any of them could be on their way or are earning a reputation, at least at the program at Fullerton College, to being a brick wall comparable to Alyssa Nair on the U.S. women's national team with how they're coming through on saves?
I do. I've watched some of the saves they've made because it's so many different colleges that I've gotten to call this year. They are ballerinas in the net with their quickness, style, and grace. They make it look easy. That's the thing that's amazing. They make it look easy. Like I've told the head coach, you've got 3 D1 goalies on this Fullerton College team.
Fullerton with Jacob Pons trying to move up. You mentioned that, Mark. I mean, this is a program that does transfer out a lot of players. They get a different look almost each and every year for their student athletes to get them an opportunity to move on, whether it be D1, D2, D3, NAIA. They get the opportunity to move on as not only just an athlete, but a student as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, the careers that any of them choose to do, I would be surprised if none of them were out there saying, I couldn't succeed. With the love they get from the coaching staff and this college, they definitely have opportunities to be anything they want to be.
Here's Acevedo. Acevedo looking over to his left, laid down. Finally going to go over to Guevara. Guevara with Acevedo once more. Jair Vargas, who was a very good distributor in the match against Cyprus. Here's a chance for Kenny. Just goes wide. Everyone held their breath for a split second. Mark, Joe, both of you guys almost jumped in the air and levitated for a moment as you were waiting to see the result of where that was going. But Hayden Kenny almost had the opening marker.
Yeah, he did. Of course, we saw Hayden's dad earlier today when we walked back to the studio. And, you know, you can see where the young man gets it from. His family is just so much fun to be around, as now we're getting – what I like about Fullerton, Ryan, is multiple changes in a game.
Indeed. The substitutions will be Kevin Castro and Jared Rodriguez, who hop onto the pitch for Fullerton. On the other side, it will end up being Hector Guevara and Brandon Acevedo, who will end up taking a seat. So Rodriguez gets a chance to hop in there. Here's Kenny. Kenny off to the right, looking for Vargas. Vargas almost gets to it in time. And finally picking it up to take possession is Saldivar. Under 26 to play. No score between Fullerton College and Santiago Canyon. Lots of athletics going on all over the place for Fullerton College. Don't forget that tomorrow, Fullerton College football will end up being on the air. So not Fullerton College football, but football, gridiron football, as the Fullerton College Hornets look to improve on their 4-4 record, and they will take a trip down to Grossmont. If I'm not mistaken, Mark, that game begins at 2.
It does. So we'll see if they can stay on a winning streak and enhance their opportunities for postseason play.
Rodriguez, right side, wins possession, still trying to get it towards the middle. He does so, and on 2 hops, it will find its way to Saldivar, who takes over. Not to mention, if you are also a Fullerton College men and women's basketball fan, as both basketball programs begin their seasons this week. Fullerton College men's basketball starts tonight. They are at San Diego Miramar, if I remember correctly. And then the women's program, they have an excellent chance to make a name for themselves once again in Orange Empire Conference play. Fullerton is off sides here, and it will be taken back by Santiago Canyon. Mark, you have had the opportunity to call OEC women's basketball here, and Fullerton College, with a new season after they built a lot of momentum last year, has a chance to change things.
Yeah, and we'll see how it does. I know we looked at the rankings the other day for the women. I think Ed Ford and Corey Nealon both like Orange Coast College still on the rankings when we look at it. But Fullerton has a chance to step up, and we have waited for years to see the program, since Marcia Foster has turned it over, to get back to the winning days like they've been in the past.
So if you are a Fullerton College basketball fan, men and women's programs get things started today and this upcoming week. Lots of things going on for Fullerton College as a whole, as their athletics program continues to try and have the best opportunities for their student athletes, not only on the field, on the court, in the pool, but also academically as well. Ball goes out near side of the pitch, and Fullerton College will take over. No subs for either team on that last ball out of bounds, and Evan Yole will pick it up. Yole, long toss, no spin on that ball, popped up into the air, goes off the crown of Brandon Baruch, and Baruch will see that one go away, and Fullerton will toss it in once more. Yole continually moving up the park, looking for traffic, directing things. Side spinner this time. Jair Vargas is able to find Hayden Kenny. Awareness of who's behind him. Here's Kenny Kenny, little dropper that goes too far for Ponce, or excuse me, that's going to be Kevin Castro. And Saldivar is there once more. So, Mark, it was almost as if it's a set play there. Ball goes over to Jair Vargas. Vargas with a little bump back. Kenny moves over towards the middle, tries to bring the defender towards him. And then the other guy, in this case was Jacob Ponce and Kevin Castro, make different runs.
Yeah, I think we're seeing more set plays by Fullerton as the season moves on this year. And I think it has, again, where the coaching staff is much more comfortable with the team now, where before it was just like they were going 1,000 miles an hour down the field. Now it's more constructive and less haphazard.
Jair Vargas fighting for it. He gets called for a foul. 21:50 showing on the clock left here in the first half of play. At the half, we're going to have the coaches show for you, or at least part of it. And if you want to watch more, you can tune into Hornet Radio, as that one will debut tonight after the game. But the halftime show for this week will be a version of the pros teach the average Joes, if you will.
Yeah, we went out with Ari. Ari unfortunately had some classes to get to, so we abandoned Ryan and I to make. I think it was a scheme to make us look bad compared to the student athletes, Mark. I think it was a premeditated act.
You know what? I watched the footage. It's one of those days where I said, I'm glad I wasn't there.
Ariola able to get that one shaded over to Barragan, and he'll take over. Thank you to Corey Nalen, who brings in the news that the women's basketball program beat Chaffee today, 61-53. So both the men and women getting the chance to start off their season here today, and the women's program getting a win, 61-53 over Chaffee. So we were talking about them getting a good start, and that's exactly how you do it. 20.5 left in the first 45. Left-hand side, it's going to find the foot of Luis Martinez. Martinez trying to find a teammate. That gets deflected away by Vargas. Vargas will find Yole, and Fullerton playing from the back, not out the back, but playing from the back, tries to take it away. Instead, it's Santiago Canyon who finds Dare. Dare nearly gets it away from Ariola, but a quick stab of the right foot, and Ariola is able to get possession back. Here's a chance on the left-hand side for the Hornets. They try and scoop it towards the middle, and Hayden Kenny will take possession. Kenny moving back, trying to get his midfield into it. Now moved over towards Kevin Castro, and Castro's going to have a foot race to try and catch up to it with Everakes. Everakes down the middle. Now to Baruch. Baruch turns it over. Here's a chance. Moved over towards Vargas. Vargas now to Kenny. Kenny, shot on goal, not there. The rebound is cleared away. And Fullerton again with Hayden Kenny almost getting the opening spot.
That is, we've said this before, they need to go watch the Mighty Ducks and listen to Gordon Bombay, man. Kenny was out there. He was leading the pack, but where was the teammate for the second touch, the third touch? Mark?
Yeah, I mean, you know, every once in a while, though, Joe, you will see that people will stay back and see what happens with the shot instead of being right there to, like you would say, pick up the trash. And the trash was sitting there. Just somebody decided they didn't need to empty the basket yet.
Toss in right side. 18:50 showing on the clock, left in the first half of play. Near side of the park, you're going to watch as this is thrown in by Jared Rodriguez. Clings around for a second, goes off of Santiago Canyon, and will stay with the Hornets.
You know, we have a girl at Saddleback College, and I think it's Caitlin Peters. I might be wrong on this. That actually does the flip throw in, which is pretty wild to watch because she heads up to throw in. She sets the ball on the ground. She flips using the ball, and then she takes all that momentum in a flip and flings it as far as she can. I mean, it's acrobatic as all get out.
Tossed up by Rodriguez. Little flip back. Header is there for Fullerton. Goes off of Kevin Castro, and Saldivar will take over. And Mark, you mentioned that it takes a lot of coordination, a lot of practice, and it's not just something that you can kind of decide on the spot. That has to be something designated prior to the season, and a coaching staff that trusts you enough to be able to look at you and say, hey, you know what? You can do that. Go ahead whenever you get the chance.
Every time she sets the ball down, I just realize that I would have a broken wrist because I slipped off the ball and jammed my wrist into the turf.
I mean, it's flashy and all, but I mean,
it works, Joe.
A
it
somersault
works.
on a throw-in, that's good and all, but give me a Trinity. Give me one of the women players doing one of those Trinity Rodman spins on the ball, juking people and getting around them.
Saddleback right now is in first place in the OEC for the women. So a team that everybody thought not as good as last year. I'll tell you what, BJ Nickel has done an incredible job as a head coach with the women at Saddleback. Cyprus was the national #1 team, and they beat Cyprus 3-0.
16:35 on the clock, left in the first half. No score between Fullerton College and Santiago Canyon. Here's Cesar Marquez. Marquez finds a guy, scooped over towards the left, past Bones. Now down the middle, an opportunity, might be an own goal. It is indeed.
That's unfortunate. It was an own goal.
So that goes as a Ricky Walker own goal. He is beside himself at the moment, but it's just an odd hop that takes place right before him, and Marquez seems very similar to a shortstop who is trying to field it on a hop while backing up for a shade. It takes that funny in-between bounce and hops off his leg and in the net.
You know, the other thing that bothers me about this, too, is that when a goalie, in many cases, thinks their defense person is going to get the ball, they relax. None of them ever think that, oops, if a mistake happens, we could score on ourselves. And you and I saw that in the Argentina game, Ryan, when the national women's team played this last week.
Yeah, that was Ryan was helping the stat keeper
over
over here, so I'll kind of step in and say that was a heck of a game for USA, though, Mark.
Yeah, it was.
So officially that goes as an own goal against Santiago Canyon in the 29th minute of play. 15 minutes left on the clock as this one is scooped over towards the left. It will go out. Touchline is there, and one of the subs coming in for Fullerton, and David Suarez, is able to toss this one in. Check down to Yole. Yole on the right-hand side. Yole finds Vargas. Vargas has had a good start to this one so far. Has kept possession multiple times for the Hornets. Here's Yole. Backspun all the way back to Barragan. Ariola, who has a game winner this season, has a couple of goals as well. Taken away by the Hawks. Hawks are going to scoot it over to Sermonelli, and Sermonelli looking for a teammate to flex off of two, and will finally find a Hornet. Fullerton more than content to just get it away from their own third. And it goes back to Sermonelli. Sermonelli off of two. He'll regain possession. Opportunity for Everakes. Everakes with it once more. Now Suarez. Suarez along with David Garcia, who just entered at that last break. And Cesar Marquez. Cesar Marquez to the right will find Yole. 8 different Hornets touching it here in the last 2 minutes of play. Offside is Fullerton. Mark, you watch the Orange Empire Conference. A lot of people in watching OEC soccer just kind of assume, okay, it's the same as the rest of the state, but slightly at a higher level. I would characterize it as having its own personality of play style. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah. I think soccer is played different. There's a couple teams I'd love to see play that I haven't watched if they're streamed. One is College of San Francisco, who is playing excellent soccer again this year. They play different than we do down here. in the South. And I think a lot has to do where the coaches come from, too, Ryan. You know, what did they do? Where did they play as professionals? And when they bring that attitude to the game, it's different for each coach where they played at. You get the European feel. You will get the coaches that come from South America or have played in leagues here in the United States, have played on their national team. All different styles. I mean, you watch the different formations they run. I think that's the fun part for me, watching the different formations that they were running. I watched a 2-4-2-4 the other night. That's 6. That's 12 people. But, you know, I added an extra 2 on there for you. Joe's going, wait a minute, I can add. Mark's putting too many players out there.
Oh, no, I got an email. I got a note from Mr. Ford, so I was dealing with that for a little bit, Mark.
Oh, okay, so you're going to be there at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning?
Turns out I'm going straight there from here.
11.5 left in the first 45. It's Fullerton 1. Santiago Canyon 0 to this point. And as we mentioned before, these two teams have played each other once this season. Omar Ruiz trying to help coach things up left-hand side. Fullerton gets it away. Nathan Giles looking to check in a moment, and a corner kick coming up. And Joe, you and I were taught about corner kicks by Cesar Marquez yesterday, and it was all about where you hit the ball with your foot. It wasn't necessarily about how you were going to get that to fly, as it was impact on ball and where it is on the ball that will affect the flight.
It was also the approach and how you approach it, and if your follow-through of swinging your hips, if that's going to help generate the curve on the kick, or if you just do a straight run-up and just essentially punt it straight.
So we'll see if it's a driven ball here. Far side. Fullerton goes short. Now they're going to scoop this into the air, and that is going to float on everyone. But there's a foul just outside the box, and it doesn't get any closer to being right at the edge of the 18-yard marker. And Fullerton College is going to get what is essentially here, Mark, as a, we'll call it an extended corner.
Yeah, and the angle is much better than a corner for the Hornets when you look at it, Ryan, because it's basically 6 yards out in front of the goal to the right of the goalkeeper. So it's an easier little pitch than it would be from a traditional corner kick.
9:40 on the clock. Fullerton with a chance here to open up things before the half. They already have one on the board. 29th minute own goal against Santiago Canyon, a 3-person wall. Little scooter, back post, a chance, goes off the crossbar and in. No offsides there as Fullerton is going to get the goal. We will see who ends up getting the assist. It is Evan Yole who will get the assist, and the goal will officially go to Josias Palacios. So Palacios with the goal for Fullerton College, and that for the Hornets will make it 2-0. And it should, if I'm not mistaken, sometimes they do give a hockey assist to that one. And it will end up being going to Max Ron. So
well, Ryan,
the
Joe.
goal is going to be, sorry, Mark, real quick. The goal is going to be scored by Josias Palacios. The assist will give credit to Evan Yole and Max Ron.
And it just became official, Ryan, because I kept the camera on the linesman and the referee. They had an intense conversation where you said it wasn't offsides. I think that was the discussion by Santiago Canyon that they said, wait a minute. There were Hornets there that were offsides on that play.
So now a conversation between that main official, like you were talking about, Mark, will be taking place on the far side of the pitch where Andy Thomas would like to have a word and see what the explanation is there.
And while they're having a word, Mark, we were talking earlier, lots going on here at Fullerton College, whether it's being Hornet Media and Hornet Radio. We're going to be real busy next Tuesday, or just Fullerton College in general. Lots going on, Mark.
Yeah, it is. Next Tuesday, everybody realize we're going to tell you here on this broadcast, make sure you go out. If you have not already done it, make sure you go out and vote this next election. It's going to be close. You're going to be biting your fingernails no matter who you vote for. We'll see who gets the nod. And we will be broadcasting this Tuesday night. All you have to do is go to Hornet Media, Hornet Radio. The guys will let you know where to go. We will be giving you all the national, state, and local results here this coming Tuesday night.
As well as next week, Mark, we've got First Gen Week at Fullerton College, and they've got an event Tuesday, the 5th, from 1 to 3. Spill the tea. What being First Gen means to me. Stop by and connect with other First Gen students. They'll have tea, snacks, origami, crafts. Well, snacks and supplies for origami last, I guess. All students at Fullerton College welcome. So if you're a First Gen student or want to talk with First Gen students, that could be a cool place to network and become a member on this campus community, Mark.
Yeah, you can talk to me and go back and ask me what it was like when we used to walk to school every day.
Well, what was it like, dodging those T-Rexes on the way to school, though?
You know what? That was a fun thing. Throw a bone, they'd go and chase it. You were okay.
6 minutes left in the first half. Fullerton College up 2-0 as we regain composure and get set back with the action. Ball goes out. Fullerton will end up getting the toss in as Suarez is going to go over there to retrieve. Omar Ruiz checks in a few moments ago along with Nathan Giles, and they're also joined by Giovanni Sanchez. Sanchez with it. Scooted over towards the right. Looks like it is Acevedo who is back onto the pitch for the Hornets. Checked over, Max Ron. Ron, the free kick specialist, gets another point here for Fullerton College, so he has led the way. Mark, I won't call it rare because it's not necessarily rare, but it's not super common to see one of your guys on your back line be leading you in points.
You know what? It all depends who the person is. If it's somebody that plays both ends well, if it's somebody who's got a monster leg, that's why you can see them leading the team in points. And, guys, just to let you know, I looked very good in leopard skin back then, too.
I didn't know they had leopards back then.
They did, yes. They had leopards and they had lepers.
Max Ron with it. As Sermonelli tries to take that one away. Collision takes place and Fullerton gets it right back. Little drop pass on the one touch by Giovanni Sanchez. Now taken back by Kevin Castro. Ball kind of clanging around there for a little bit as it ends up in possession of the Hawks. Finally checked down by Palacios. Palacios looking for a teammate. He finds one. And now Ariola will get to it. Still on his run. He gets taken down. Heavy contact. No call coming, and the Hawks can take it away. Here's a chance for Martinez. Martinez floating back. Taking a look now will be Everakes. Everakes changing his position on the park. Far side. Here's the Hawks now with Dare. Dare down the middle. Dare gets that one taken away by Max Ron. Looking for help, just didn't end up getting it where he thought it was going to go run-wise. And it's scooped over towards Ricky Walker on the left. Walker. Now it's someone over to Martinez. And Martinez has it go off his chest and away. Nathan Giles, high toss. Off the right foot of Everakes. Everakes gets it back. Now left foots one over towards Kevin Castro, who nearly takes it away and finally does check it over to Acevedo. Acevedo on the roll to Barragan. Bruin moving over towards the right side. Hayden Kenny checked out at last chance. This one's going to go over to Giovanni Sanchez. Sanchez, if he can win the foot race, has a chance. He takes a shot, and that one goes wide. Hits our camera on the way through, and it will be a goal kick.
That almost looked offsides to me, Ryan. I know
Just
the foot
a
race
shade.
was close.
Yeah, it was right there. And Sanchez actually ends up earning a corner kick here, as it looks like it was actually deflected away.
Yeah, and Joe, I'm going to say it's a false offsides because it was an even foot race with each other. If the defender starts slowing down, which is what he did, to force the offsides by offense, you won't. There's many times you won't get that called.
2:15 on the clock. Shouldn't have all too much additional time. Max Ron on the side spun floater. He's looking for Suarez. It ends up clanging back towards Acevedo, who's just going to send it back into the fray. Omar Ruiz tries to get that one forward. Can't. Here's Nathan Giles actually make that Suarez, who has that go off the top of his foot and finally cleared away. So Fullerton has a couple chances there. Can't get it to work the way that they wanted it to, but now they get possession right back and they move forward. Check down to Palacios. Palacios over towards the right to Giles. Giles has the angle. Giles still with it. Giles down the middle. He tries to center, and it goes right through 4 different Fullerton College Hornets, and it will go past for a throw-in.
If you could have found the foot of one Hornet right there, if somebody was half a step faster, we'd be up 3-0.
Yeah, that was a sweet play. And here's the thing that we see a lot of Fullerton now. Guys, I don't know about you, but I've never seen so many touch passes by teams, and Fullerton now seems to be able to do that on any whim when they want to.
I think it plays to their favor, Mark. They're a very aggressive team, and you see a lot of variety on runs. And when Fullerton College is moving up the park, I think those one-touch passes allow for guys who have a lot of momentum to continue their way forward and draw the defender away from where they're going to move into open space. This is booted towards the left-hand side. Barragan is going to say, hey, you know what, guys? I'll slow things down here. Don't worry about it. And he'll roll it over to his left.
Well, that's something else we saw. Start of the game, Santiago Canyon were the aggressors. Fullerton kind of little slow to come alive in this game. They're up 2-0 right now. But then also, Mark, we're talking about maybe postseason futures for the Hornets, how they've been able to, under pressure, win games in final moments, final seconds. And I think to talk about you saying lucky, I think we also kind of have this fairy tale story of this team that as the season's gone on, they've matured with one another, and they're learning to play with one another and adapt to kind of all of the different idiosyncrasies of their teammates on the field.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that, Joe, because, I mean, we watched this team on the first, 2-3 matches of the season. They played a lot of out-of-state teams. They played a lot of teams from up north. And, Mark, you and I were talking about it off the air, and we said this is a very good Fullerton team, but it's not the same as last year in terms of overall prospects. To put it plainly, not only has that sentiment changed as the season has gone along, Mark, this might be one of the best teams that we've seen in program history.
Oh, yeah. I think they're so equal across the board on the offense and defensive side. You can plug anybody into any position, and it seems to work. It says so much about this coaching staff. They have so much faith in everybody, and they have responded to the faith their coaches show them.
Whistle blows for the first 45 of play finishing off. So, as we finish the first 45 of play, guys, I will send it to the half here very quickly because we will have a halftime show coming up in just a moment. But, Joe, Mark, I will let you discuss the first half for just a few minutes here as Fullerton College ends up getting a 2-0 advantage after the first 45 of play is over. So, Fullerton College 2, Santiago Canyon 0. We will step aside for a little bit after Joe and Mark talk about the first half of play.
Well, I mean, Joe, it comes down again. I know you're that dog-eat-dog soccer guy. You like playing physical soccer. You like getting out there and, in a positive sense, you like being mean on the soccer field. I'm going to play physical. I'm going to knock you around a little. And this Fullerton team can play finesse, or they can play physical. And you talked about Hayden Kenny, who can do it all. I think this all starts with defense, and then they find offense, not offense who has defense behind them.
Yeah, to kind of steal a phrase a friend of mine has. He's a karate sensei, and he says he is a big guy that because his sensei was a little guy, big guy doing little guy karate. I'm a big guy on the soccer field, so I play big guy soccer, which is why I might be playing a little more physical, maybe a little more like you're seeing Hayden Kenny. Well, trying to play like you're seeing Hayden Kenny play on the field, much less finesse, probably a lot less grace, but trying to bring in that same level of physicality if and when I do ever touch a soccer ball again.
And I'm going to go back to one thing that I said earlier in this game. Joe, you know you played the game. If you've got goalies back there that don't give up anything, I mean, if you needed to eat and they had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich there, you wouldn't even get a taste of the crust. They're that stingy in the goal. That's got to relax everybody on the field. I mean, if I know my defense is that darn good back there, I got Yole and I got goalkeepers that don't let us. That lets me go after people offensively. That's what Fullerton's got too.
Yeah, well, and that's what you have. You have Yole and you have great goalkeepers. You have Yole being a tactician. You have the goalkeeper being an extra tactician, and the two of them could butt heads, and that could create conflict on the field, but it doesn't. They're able to work together. They're able to communicate and direct that flow of traffic, Mark.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. And then let me add it again. You look at the coaches. The coaches are spectacular, and that's what makes them so special when you look at what's going on the field. The head coach, the assistant coaches, this organization is top of the line when you look at Fullerton College.
Yeah, and like I said, this is a team that definitely matured as the season went on. And it is, well, that's my thought, Mark. we have seen this team grow together and mature as the season's gone together.
So we're still here at halftime as we have youth soccer on the field. We got a few games going on. We've got people warming up. And the future of Fullerton College is in front of us right now with the young kids playing with two different soccer games going on. Their coaches out there. You know, Corey Nealon, I know if you're watching the game, youth sports are something that we all played. My son had the chance to play youth soccer here in the Fullerton area, had great coaches that he played with. Camaraderie, baby. This is all about camaraderie, running back and forth, making fun of each other, and then, oops, let's go get pizza afterwards. Well, that was the best part.
Speaking about camaraderie, we've got more of that here at Fullerton College, Marks. If I can gush about the campus that we all come to and love in one way or another, we've got the Ethnic Studies Department with a Asian Pacific Islander and Desi American Student Center that opened up this week on campus. So if you're a student in one of those groups, congrats and welcome to the community they're trying to build on campus. Welcome to the resources that they're trying to provide you. And because of that, we're having some more events on campus. Like I said, First Gen Spill the Tea event November 5th. Then we've got open mic and poetry reading November 7th in the 2400 building. That goes from 3:30 to 6:30, November 7th. And then we've got the Ethnic Studies Hiring Fair, November 22nd in the 200 building, and that goes from 5 to 7.
Well, and yesterday Ryan Osborne and I were out at our art department. They like to call us and say, hey, guys, we got something going on. Ryan and I had the pleasure of being at a new opening with an artist by the name of Jerry Pena that did a whole thing on the history and the tradition of lowriders in the Hispanic community. And Ryan and I were out there. Ryan shot a 10-minute piece that'll be on Hornet Radio when you get a chance to see it. It's not up yet. But the cars themselves were just gorgeous. There's no doubt about it with what they did with the cars. got to talk to numerous owners out there. And then we went inside and looked at everything else. Tell you what, he had a piece with bandanas that he did cutouts. He wasn't there. The artist wasn't there to explain to me how he did the cutouts. The bandanas were so delicate and the cutouts were so precise. And I kept asking everybody, how do you do this? And they kept saying, well, the artist isn't here. So go to our art gallery. They have numerous art shows. A variety of different materials are used, textiles, clay, metal, paint, water paint, acrylic, oils. Tell you what, if you're somebody who's looking just to do something, you want to say, hey, I'm an artist, then go over to the art department, see what classes they have there, and sign up. Same with the same respect that if you remember the old days and you're an old guy like me and you go, I know all about rock and roll. I could be a DJ. Hey, I'm one of the cool guys from the old days here on. Then, come on over to Science and Technology where we're at. We're in the technology division, and find out about our radio program and the multimedia center that we do now have, Joe, because as we know, radio has transformed into video. And, of course, Joe should be able to talk about that because he runs our radio group, and that's who we are tonight.
Well, and speaking of science-y stuff, as we are part of the technology and engineering department, if science and engineering is your thing, great engineering club that we have on campus. They actually competed, Applied Engineering Club on campus, actually competed in a nationwide competition between 2-year universities and 4-year universities, and won one category, at least one category. 2 categories definitely. I'm getting from our technical director, Ryan, who's off working on things behind the scenes right now during the halftime. They won 2 categories. They have a big trophy that they got to bring home when they went to go visit NASA over the summer as part of their prize for winning what they won, which was a contest about developing systems and technologies that could be used in future space missions.
And Joe, when we stay in our department, I mean, if you're somebody that wants to work in the world of automotive, incredible automotive department here at Fullerton College. Well, I think we're going to get to our halftime show here. Ryan Osborne, Joe, myself, we're going to step away just for a second here on Hornet Radio.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Coaches Show on Hornet Radio. I am Ryan Osborne, joined by the host of the Coaches Show, Ari Nakshon, and also our big-time program director, that is Joseph Pavlenko, over to our right with Hornet Radio. All 3 of us here together because, well, plain and simple, this is going to be a little bit different Coaches Show than what you're used to. If you're used to, tuning in, watching the Coaches Show and saying, okay, I'm going to get an interview, I'm going to see Ari, I'm going to see Ryan, talk to a player, talk to a coach, this is going to be a little bit different. This is all about pros teaching the average Joe, if you will, because they are going to teach us, they, being the men's soccer team here at Fullerton College, how to best play their position so we can get a better understanding on how it is that they are able to perform each Tuesday and Friday. Guys, I'll throw it over to you real quick. This is one of the most exciting segments that I think we've ever filmed.
Yeah, I mean, we've never really done anything where we've gotten hands-on. It's always been just asking questions or maybe filming some of the practice, but being involved in it, this is probably one of the more experimental things that we've done here so far.
Joe, I'm going to bring it over to you real quick because you played soccer in your youth, and is there a specific position you are most excited about to learn about today?
No, I'm just relieved because internally we were calling this Pros Show Joes, and so I thought I was getting real singled out. And then the clarification today, average Joes, I'm just happy it feels like I'm not the only one out here doing stuff.
Not at all. So all 3 of us are going to learn from this men's soccer squad exactly how they play their positions best and get a little bit of a better understanding on how we can look at Futbol Fridays going forward in the future. So we're here with Pedro Delgado, and Pedro, we're inside the box, and the reason why is because, well, plain and simple, we want to know what goes on when you have a corner kick. So Ryan Osborne, Pedro Delgado, Ari Nakshon, in case you weren't here with us for the open. Pedro, if you're inside the box, ball is in the air, what is the number one thing you are looking for as a forward?
So as a forward, I look to get space away from a defender. So I try to like drag them out. That way I create space where I want to go. So when the ball's kicked, I have that opening to get into the space I want to get into to attack the ball.
Now let's say Ari right here is the defender who's right off your hip. What specifically are you going to do to make sure that you get that space?
So first, I would drag into him. So I'm coming this close. That way I have time to drag out. He'll follow me. And when he follows me, he leaves that space in, so when the ball's kicked, I can attack that space.
So is it very much where, like you're mentioning, you went that diagonal line. Are you just going to take that exact same amount of space, or are you going to try and go off of a different line too?
It really depends on the play. So like, most of the time when it's a corner, I have a bunch of players with me, my teammates, and we have like certain set pieces. So sometimes I'll like run back post, or sometimes I'll be in the middle, or run front post. It really depends on like what type of play we have.
Maybe from the other side, if you're the one crossing in the ball, because, you know, sometimes you'll get in that situation where you're the guy over on the outside, whether that's in the corner or maybe you get past the corner and they want you to be the one who puts the ball into the box. How do you go about that?
Like, how do I like...
Do you normally get it to like head level, or do you want it to get it to maybe their foot so they can kick it in? What is normally your thought process behind that?
So when I'm crossing, I usually try to like play back post. So like everybody's running first post to try to clear it out. So I try to like hit it back.
So a bit of a higher ball?
Yeah, higher ball.
Okay.
Now when you mention that, one thing that we always think is interesting, and a lot of people watching, maybe Futbol Fridays, they're tuning in on Friday and they're going, okay, to me it looked like luck, but that's because I didn't play organized soccer. I don't understand the intricacies and all the details of everything. When you see that ball into the air, and like you mentioned, you take that step back to get that spacing, is there any point where you go, my eyes are getting wide because I know I'm about to set up perfect for this?
Yeah, I had a similar scenario when I scored at Saddleback. I dragged out, and my teammate ran a loop behind me, so it dragged the defender with him, and I knew I was going to score.
Now, for your own preference, you know, some people like, I'm from a hockey background, some people like to go inside post, some people like to go far post. Is it the same with forwards? So if you're setting up right here, you're trying to get that space, are you looking for a specific side that you prefer?
I would go for the near post. It's easier hitter.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, awesome. Thank you very much. We appreciate you joining us here on the Coaches Show. Thank you, Pedro. So we're here with Cesar Marquez. And Cesar, you know, just real quick before we get into it, last week you had that game tire against Cypress College. It was from outside the box, and like you mentioned just before we got on the air, you have a very shot-first mindset. When you were approaching that ball, you had the guy just off to your left hip. When you made the turn, was that shot already in your mind as you were getting set to make that turn?
Yeah. Well, as soon as I felt his last push, not on me anymore, my first thought was, I'm open, why not take the shot? We didn't really try any shots throughout the game against that keeper. So my first thought was that we haven't tested him.
Now I'll flip over to this side because we do have the ball here, and if anyone's watching online and thinking, all right, well, why do you guys have the ball here? We're keeping consistent, like we said. It's a pros teach the average Joes. I didn't grow up playing organized soccer, so I want to know how you end up taking corner kicks. The first thing I want to know is how you get it to be consistent.
Okay. So consistent, it's just knowing where to hit it. We have a lot of different plays. So it calls for the ball to be in different areas of the field, at areas of the six. We have our players that we need to look for. So it's just knowing where they're going to be and where you need to hit the ball. So yeah, specific plays, just knowing. I would say that's about it.
So if you're setting up a short corner versus a long corner, it's just trying to find the right player.
Yeah.
Is there any way specifically that you approach the kick? Like if we were to take a kick into the penalty box, what are we doing? Are we adjusting how far we're coming back to kick the ball? Are you adjusting because it's maybe not a short ball, so you have to adjust how your body's angling to try to send it that way?
Yeah, so for more like in the middle, we'd want to go for more of a power shot, more like driven. As for a different one, like a first post, I personally would want a curve, just because that adds more, that gets the first place runner a better opportunity to score. But yeah, for second post and far post, or second post and middle, I would say just driven ball, straight to it. Nothing much. I mean, that's what we always practice for, so I would say like right there. Like right there, I would say that's like more near post.
All right.
So if a player's running through there, I would say more of a curler.
So is there any way that you approach the kick differently when you're trying to send it in the air versus?
I would say for near post and curl, I would line up more in an angle.
And welcome back. We're coming into the second half of this Futbol Fridays here at Hal Scherbeck Field. Now, you're not used to me opening up at the half, but we've got Mr. Osborne here. He'll be by shortly, dealing with some technical director things on the broadcast. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Becky, for keeping everything running smooth today as we look forward to another, hopefully exciting 45 minutes of play tonight.
Yeah, well, I just want to know, you guys brought it up. I tell you what, I'm out here listening to this playlist, and I'm not quite sure where it came from.
You know what? They wanted great music. Some would say the best music, the best variety. Hornet Radio, great place. Can find it on Live 365. We are still streaming. We may not have a terrestrial station, but the radio department at Fullerton College is still broadcasting. We never stopped. Yes? Wow,
Yeah.
you guys really murdered me right there.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
silence.
I was
Okay.
I'm watching-
processing there for a sec. Going,
I
okay,
was
hold on.
I was getting my eyes working again on the field.
I had to make sure that I fielded the text message from what we will call him the benevolent Corey Nalen.
Okay.
And at the same time, think about, oh, look, the match is restarting also.
Ooh, look, a ball.
And also want to tease, if you want to watch the rest of that coach's show in its entirety, we will have a few more graphics and also some highlights to add to that as well. It comes out tonight, later after this matchup. You want to wake up in the morning, watch it, you're more than welcome to do so. We get taught, Joe, Ari, and myself, by the guys on this Fullerton College squad, how they play their positions on corner kicks. So later on this season, we are also going to be taught about different aspects of the game, but for the moment being, for this show, it was all about corner kicks. If you want to watch more of that coach's show, go to Hornet Radio's YouTube page. It will be up tonight, and you can watch it in the morning. Maybe you want some Cheerios, you can have the coach's show, and you get yourself ready for Fullerton College gridiron football.
If they watch my section, they're going to have indigestion if they follow it with Cheerios. I've booked my second training session. If you watch the show, you'll see why I need it.
Here's David Suarez down the middle of the park. Almost connects on that one. He has another chance to get it to a teammate. Can't do so for a second. Nomar Ruiz will take it over. Ruiz to his right foot. He's going to line this one down the middle, take it away, and it will be scooped up by Santiago Canyon off the Hornets, and away it goes back to the Hawks. Ryan Osborne, Joseph Pavlenko, Becky Nguyen, and we have Mark Pavlovich over to our right here on the broadcast for Futbol Fridays. We are more than glad to bring you Futbol Fridays throughout the entirety of this season. It has been a joy to be able to cover this Fullerton College men's soccer squad over the last couple of years. And if you are watching Futbol Fridays for the first time, maybe you are a Hawk fan, a Santiago Canyon fan, you're thinking to yourself, all right, guys, now I haven't really heard as much play-by-play. I've heard you guys have a lot of discussions. Why is that? Well, we do Futbol Fridays a little differently around here. The way that we do it, we want to talk about the most relevant subjects going on in the game of soccer, in the game of football, at the community college level, at the national level, and the international level, and at the same time bring you the action that's going on the field. So you'll hear more conversations from us about different topics, about how the game is maturing, how the game is growing across the United States as well. And then you will also be brought the play-by-play here from all three of us, Ryan Osborne, Joseph Pavlenko, and Mark Pavlovich.
As well as cooking tips and tricks.
That's true. That is true.
Such things also brought to you by us, like the proper way to make a tuna sandwich.
That too.
Well,
And
yeah.
If we're going to give cooking tips and tricks as well, I also want to give a big-time shout-out recently to the spray-on butter that also includes flour, because it was fantastic in making bread last week.
Well, you know, and I was going to bring up the draft that we just had.
We did. That's
on
going to air
Hornet
soon.
Radio.
And the reason why it will air soon is because I never gave the file to Joe.
Oh, there we go. Some of us knew candy. Some of us didn't.
Some of us weren't around and would have picked king-size candy bar round one, pick one.
What the heck?
King
I'm
size,
taking a
isn't
king-
that just a size of candy? That is not a candy.
I
You
would say
know
that's
what?
the candy bar category.
That's not a candy, though. That's a category of
King-size
candy bar. That is a category of candy. That is not a candy.
Listen, you pick your draft picks, I'll pick mine.
Man. What flavor was it, Joe? Or just big?
It's a king-size candy bar.
All right, there you go,
It's just
Ryan.
like, just like if we ever do a drinks draft, round one, pick one coffee. Round two, pick Earl Grey tea. Round three, London Fog.
Oh,
Round four, lemonade. Round five, iced tea. Round six, Arnold Palmer.
oh my goodness. This is like if someone went up to an NFL draft and said, I will take the college football player. And they said, which one? And Joe just said yes.
I thought that was some great, if you know your beverages, that was some great jokes built into that draft board right there, Ryan.
I did see where you were going with that. But yeah, that's how we do Football Fridays around here. 5 minutes gone here in the second half. As Fullerton College tries to take over possession, they will do so on a throw-in as Nathan Giles takes it on the far side touchline. Fullerton College wants to work quickly. They're going to toss in quick, and the official says, hey, you know what? You've taken just a few too many steps, Mr. Giles, and you will have to retreat a bit.
So, you know, Joe once again will give us his recipe for guacamole. Avocado. There you go.
I mean, it's a key ingredient, Mark. You can't make guacamole without avocado.
That's true.
If you need help with that, I don't know what else to tell you, man.
Oh, it's going to be a long second half.
As this one's poked away, Fullerton College on the attack, almost catching up to that one was Pedro Delgado, who we talked to yesterday on the Coach's Show, and he will earn a corner. So just what we got an opportunity to talk to him about, how do you create spacing? How do you find yourself in a spot to create a goal when you are on a corner kick? Now you're going to see an opportunity for him to do so in action. Fullerton College will be over to our left-hand side. They're attacking from right to left across the second half of play. Santiago Canyon going from left to right. Short corner coming up for Fullerton College. Little scoop back here. Suarez, a chance, almost in, as that one goes off the awaiting glove of Saldivar with an excellent save. Here's Garcia on the off foot, goes outside of his laces and will be deflected out. So Fullerton College with a throw-in. They still keep it in the attacking third, but two different chances for the Hornets here, guys, to get goal number 3.
See, we have a listener from Pasadena, Ryan, despises the short corner. She thinks it's a wasted opportunity. But right there, that's where Greg Aviles and his team show you how you can take that short corner and almost create a scoring opportunity if you follow the play and if things go according to plan.
Popped up into the air. Chance here for Castro. And you know what? I agree with the listener in Pasadena, because that was always my thought going into this season with Fullerton College, is that the short corner kind of takes away your opportunities. It does change the angle and brings out a couple more defenders towards the corner guy. But it always felt to me like you're changing how you can attack and whether or not you have the spacing to do so like you would like to. But this Fullerton College team has scored twice off of them on Football Fridays. And they have very simply said to myself, watching this team all year long, hey, you know what? You are wrong.
Right, you're just being a fuddy-duddy traditionalist.
Actually, the
open to
fuddy-duddy is on the camera over to our right.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with a fuddy-duddy candy bar.
Hey, I chose an Abba Zaba, so I can't talk.
There you
That's
go.
a great pick. Bit of honey.
Musketeers.
I also took a Heath bar.
See, I also would have been
And
fun.
you took a pinwheel. Come on, man.
Yes, I did. Anyone who is watching has Giles brings this one in, pops it into the air. Santiago Canyon on the clear, goes back to Giles. But anyone who is watching who has had Abuelita hot chocolate and hasn't had the opportunity to kind of take a bite out of the wheel of Abuelita hot chocolate, you are missing out.
So here's a question. Draft board. If I would have picked a Mars bar, but a Mars bar from the UK, which is basically a Three Musketeers, would that have flown?
That would have flown, but it would have been its own category. So that means, well, not category, but it would have been its own selection, which means that Three Musketeers would still be on the board, as would a United States Mars bar. Here's Delgado. Delgado on the turn. He gets back to it. It's off his right foot. Now he's going to keep it for a moment, gets dispossessed, toss in Fullerton College. Nathan Giles already on that side of the park, so he will have an opportunity to throw it in from the far side near the corner.
Yeah, but remember, it couldn't be a big Mars bar because big candy bars were already taken.
King-size candy bar.
Oh, okay, there it is, which is different than a queen-size candy bar.
What about a California king-size candy bar?
Oh, gee.
Off the crossbar. Yes, this will be a goal kick coming up over to our left for Saldivar.
You know what? I'm going to go run the clock for the soccer game. There's going to be no stoppage time.
That's fine with me. I get to get home before midnight then.
Anyone watching online goes, okay, guys, you know what? We are in November. It is Thanksgiving time. I have already had too much candy.
Nope.
We just need to get the game and our Pedro Delgado goal here if he has the opportunity to do so. And it ends up going off the left foot of Saldivar. And real quick, guys, before we continue that conversation, Saldivar has had an excellent game in this one for Santiago Canyon. He has cut off the angles well, and he has 5 saves to this point.
Yeah, that was a great play. Coming out of the box and challenging the forward like that, you leave the goal open, and that's where field awareness and being able to read the play come into hand. If Fullerton would have had a player that could have been sent a pass there, that would have been a goal, but he was able to read the field, see that he needed to come out and make that challenge, cut off the angle, and it ended up in a corner kick for Fullerton.
Driven ball. Here comes Cisco Torres. He tries to get that one off the bounce and ends up skying it just off to the right. A missed field goal in this case. And it will be another goal kick.
Another goal kick?
It is indeed a goal kick. Becky Nguyen having some fun as the producer for Futbol Fridays here on Hornet Radio. Ryan Osborne, Joseph Pavlenko, Becky Nguyen, and Mark Pavlovich on the air live from Fullerton and Hal Scherbeck Field. Fullerton Hornets turn it over. Now it's going to go over to Dare. Hudson Dare, the 135 sophomore out of El Dorado, Yorba Linda native. He's had a good season so far, really spaces things out for the Santiago Canyon front attack. But it's all a matter of can they get the ball over to him. He had 3 different chances in the first half of play to get the opening marker and just wasn't able to put them away. Delgado, heavy touch, very physical there. He scoops it over towards Giles. Giles in, out, keeps it along the touchline, keeps it in for a moment, but as he tries to bring it towards the center, it gets taken away from him, and the Hawks can move up. Check down right at midfield. On the turn is Dare. He gets contacted, and it will be a foul against Fullerton College.
Guys, I got a little buzzy fan down here just going crazy. So there is wind blowing out here right now on the field, going from left to right.
Side spun floater out towards the top. Here's a shot that goes for Sermonelli, and Sermonelli gets that one blocked. Fullerton can run with it if they move up quickly. Goes off Juan Luis Quintana. He can't get there in time. And it would have been offsides if Dare went up to this one, so Fullerton and Cisco Torres can retreat with it.
Yeah, Mark, I just looked up the weather. Looks like we've got some 3 miles an hour winds that are going in a east by northeast turn direction across the field here at Fullerton on Futbol Fridays. Also looking up some stuff. Looking at the temps. 61 degrees tonight, but with the wind and other factors, feels like 59.
Yeah. Not that it's cold out here, but it's cold out here.
So, Mark, you're saying that, in a word, cold.
Yeah. Very.
As they say in camera, Mark, let's do that camera. 31 minutes left here on the clock. 2-0, Fullerton College with the lead as Cisco Torres will bring it back. Right-footed, high floater. Looking for Juan Luis Quintana. He will be offside if he gets to it, and it won't matter if he gets to that ball. Just making an attempt on it allows for him to get the flag up. Almost said the wheel up, but the flag up. And it is a free kick coming up for Santiago Canyon. Near side, Tanner Ryby. He'll watch on as Tyler Reed is out there as well.
You were talking about Thanksgiving a second ago, Ryan, and my family, my wife's sister last night, my wife included, finished trick-or-treating, and then the words were, "Merry Christmas." They are completely skipping Thanksgiving. They are ready to bring the merry. They are ready for the, as they would say, sweater weather. I can't say it. I quit.
Sweater weather?
I dropped my pen. There we go.
The pen goes out the window. And you know what? It can stay out the window in outrage because Fullerton College will bring in some subs. And plain and simple, Christmas only starts the moment that Thanksgiving meal is over. So happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Coming to you soon on Hornet Radio, ranking Thanksgiving dishes.
Ooh, that one I'm going to look forward to. Especially I'm going to look forward to putting stuffing at the bottom of the list, perhaps even on the second list that I will also put on the bottom.
Oh, come on. You're going to have candied yams right there at number 1.
No. 29.5 left to go in this one. In regulation, Fullerton College 2 and Santiago Canyon 0 as they try and get themselves on the board and equalize here. They're looking to score their first marker against Fullerton College this season. They've played each other now twice. And Fullerton so far has taken the advantage in each of them. Fullerton trying to close this one out, and they have a great chance to do so. They brought in a lot of subs here, and Mark, you talked about it before. Joe, you also mentioned it as well. But this is a Fullerton College team that is well-balanced, and when they bring in their subs, it's not like you're seeing a vastly different team. In fact, what you see is different modes and different styles of attack and it all depends on who comes in for Fullerton.
Yeah, and what I've seen when I've been with other games where Fullerton has taken a big league against somebody, the other guys come in and realize they're auditioning for this coaching staff and saying, hey, you know, I should be out on the field.
Off the side of the face there of Josias Palacios. Nathan Giles with it. He's going to let this one go out, and Fullerton will throw in very quickly. Pedro Delgado right to the touchline. He's going to walk it there. Goes up against Wangdu, and Wangdu dispossesses him, but it goes right back to Delgado on the clearance. He tries to center, and no one was there for Fullerton College, so Santiago Canyon can take it back. Quick move up there by Radent. Now check back over to Ricky Walker. Walker off the foot of David Garcia. To the left to Cisco Torres. Here's Cisco with Giles. Giles left-footed right down the middle of the park. A chance and a save is there by Saldivar. Giles set that up on a platter perfectly. The Thanksgiving meal was there, and Saldivar is there to take it away. So as we mentioned before, Saldivar continues to have a good match here for Santiago Canyon, Mark, plain and simple, he has been the best Hawk on the pitch tonight.
Yeah, and he's not getting a lot of love from the rest of his team. And, I mean, that's the thing. You look at what they're doing. They just haven't been able to create any offense, and their defense has been not as good as they'd like it to be.
Well, we all know being on a team, can be a demoralizing feeling like you're over here putting in the work, locking the game down on defense. They're trying to keep the score line as close as possible, and then your offense just can't put points on the board.
And it's tough. I mean, Mark, Joe, you guys have seen when you played as well, watching matches too. It's difficult to be in that situation where Saldivar is playing so well, and you also have different guys for Santiago Canyon who are having good afternoons too. But when it's just not all coming together in the same match, it's difficult to be able to keep in that mentally.
And Fullerton adding more players on the field. So players now, because of this game, are getting an opportunity for this Fullerton team. Like, this does nothing but when, guys, I picked them to win the championship. Do you realize how deep this team is now with experience because of games like this?
And it changes everything, Mark, because what we saw last year, they were very good. They changed a lot. But what you saw towards the back half of the season is that attacking front for Fullerton College became very top-heavy, not by design per se, but that's just how things moved around in that shape. But you look at this Fullerton squad, Mark, as this is going to be a great chance here for Janovic. Janovic over to his right foot, lays it there. It's on a platter, and Saldivar makes the save again.
That is some great goalkeeping. That is some fantastic goalkeeping. That should have found the back of the net right there.
Saldivar makes the save. It won't actually count against the official stats because the offsides flag was up against Fullerton College. But he has been there time and time again. His positioning has been well. And, Mark, you were talking about Fullerton College and their goalkeepers. Something has to be said here for Saldivar, who so far this season has carried the majority of the workload for the Hawks.
Yeah, and, the thing is, guys, as good as goalkeepers are, and, I would probably say, Joe, you could attest to this, you got to have people in front of you that are helping you. You can't do it by yourself. I mean, you can't have that onslaught and not know who's doing what where. Got to have defenders around you that lend you a hand.
Yeah, and I think that's true any sport, any level. You can't have your defense be the superstar. You can't have part of your defensive unit be the superstar and be able to lock it down for you if the other gears on the team aren't also turning, whether those in soccer are your midfielders and your forwards, or in basketball it's your forwards, or in hockey it's your forwards, or
defensemen, goalies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we've talked about before, and I think it's one of the biggest cliches that Mark and the 145 class talk about all the time, Corey as well, is that you always hear we're all one team, we're going to take one play at a time, practice makes perfect. But truly, if every aspect of your squad isn't clicking at the exact same time, it's very difficult to play in a conference like the Orange Empire and be able to have that night in, night out success. Santiago Canyon, we have seen them throughout the season have excellent matches. They have played these OEC opponents very tough, like tonight here for Fullerton College. They're keeping a team that is one of the best in the entire state, if not the nation, just to 2 goals conceded to this point. No penalty here for Fullerton College, as it will be a goal kick for Saldivar.
Yeah,
but they're just not seeing that all 3 aspects from goalkeeping, midfield, defensively, and then also the forwards at the same time. And it's to their detriment in this match, but we've seen in their two wins so far this season, when they can put it together, it is a beautiful thing.
Well, I can't remember if it was last week or 2 weeks ago. we were talking about national rankings, and was it last week or the week before? Fullerton
I believe
was
that
14?
was the week before, yeah.
Yeah.
Mark was talking about the national rankings, and Fullerton College slotted in at number 14 nationally. .20:36 on the clock as Fullerton College is trying to extend their lead here. Move it up with Rodriguez, taken away by the Hornets. For a moment, Josias Palacios had it, and now the Hawks can run away with it. Hawks looking for Dare. Dare can't catch up, just a shade too far out in front of him. And now Rodriguez has it once more. Rodriguez lays it out for Palacios. He already has a goal in this match. Max Ron and Evan Yole, the two backline guys, helping him out and getting the assists on that marker. Fullerton getting a foul. Palacios gets whistled for it, and it goes right back to Santiago Canyon.
25 minutes played, about 20 and change left on the clock. Come on, guys, take it home. I want that hot chocolate and chili dog.
I want the big chili dog.
King-size chili dog.
There we go.
Ooh, there we go. King-size chili dog, no onions, yes with cheese.
You know what? I'll get in line, and you guys can put the equipment away.
Well, Ryan, you don't have to ask for no onions on a lot of stuff with some of these insane recalls that are going. I think most fast food places, not to get us too far off the topic of sports, have almost completely pulled onions from their menus because the what was it, the Quarter Pounder, the Big Mac onion fiasco. I think most fast food restaurants have just decided, no thank you. We don't want to be number 2.
And the world rejoices. And by the world, I mean me. Okay? And that's all we need. No onions in this world makes for a very happy Ryan. Cisco Torres would like to also see that as well, as he sees this one poked away for a second. He takes possession once more. And Rodriguez will have to watch this one go out, toss in Fullerton College.
Corey Nalen will put in his vote for no onions either.
You know, guys, chopping onions is nothing to cry about.
There's no crying in soccer.
They're having an open mic night next week, right? working on my 5 minutes.
So.
No, we're going to be like everybody else. We're going to do soccer with no broadcasters.
No broadcasters and no onions.
That's it.
Scooted over towards the right. Fullerton College with it for a moment. Deflects off of 2. It's a foot race here. Goes all the way back to Saldivar. Saldivar with his 14 matches started and played for Santiago Canyon is able to direct traffic well. Double collision there as that ball ends up kind of jousting its way between 2 different guys. We might see a booking here for Fullerton as Dare ends up hitting the deck, and it should be Brandon Acevedo or Acevedo. No, they're going to give it to Dare.
I mean, they both went up on the ball, and it looked like he just kind of, I think he's getting probably the yellow and the warning for flopping. I don't think, maybe your feet came out from under you, but he, I think, stayed on the ground and looked at the ref, and he was trying to force a call. But like we said, if you think about these kinds of plays, I know soccer has a bad rep. People say they flop, they do this, they do that. Mark, it's a lot like, and I think Corey would agree as a basketball fan, it's a lot like trying to draw a technical in a basketball game.
Yeah, I mean, you take that dive, you think somebody runs over you, and, you know, it bothers me because I look at it, the game has changed over all the years. I mean, it used to be that people would stand up and really drop shoulders on each other in the game of soccer. Now, if you get hit, you lay there and flop around like those hot dogs we're talking about right now. It's just, it's something that has changed in the sport, and I'm not going to say for the better.
What hot dogs are you? What?
Yeah, that is a great question. What hot dogs?
I have so many
is Mark
questions.
eating?
What hot dogs are you buying? 2, I never want to buy them. 3, I think other sports do it, but I think soccer players, football players get disproportionately given grief for it. Like I said, basketball players try to draw technicals. Hockey players
Don't flop?
Well, I was
agree.
going to say they get mad enough and it turns into a boxing match.
No, but to your point, Joe, I mean, you go to the game of basketball, community college, as this one is floated up into the air, back post, Santiago Canyon trying to catch up to it, not able to get there in time, and it's a goal kick for Fullerton. But the game of basketball at the community college level and also above it as well has introduced technical fouls for flopping. And then you also go to something like, Mark, in the game of gridiron football, there is an unsportsmanlike conduct for flopping as well.
Oh, yeah, it is. But, I mean, you know, there's more reward for acting in sports nowadays than there was in the past. And, you know, and the game is, all these games have changed. Shall I say for the better, trying to protect the athletes, especially student athletes? Yeah, let's protect them, but at the same time, let's not take the premise of the game away.
Well, I mean, you have kind of to talk about what Ryan and I and Ari talked about a few weeks ago. There's the spirit of the game, there's the rule of the game, there's the spirit of the game, then there's the black and white of the rule book. But then also, there's the gamification of the game, right? Any sport can and will be gamified. It's, I think, kind of human nature. People want to win. People are competitive. So people try to figure out how they can see how far they can bend rules without completely breaking them.
In other words, what you're saying, to quote Title IX, Corey Nalen, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying?
No, I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying there's the gamification of sports, and which sounds silly because sports are a game, but people will see how far they can push the boundaries of the rules. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying are not my words. I will let Title IX keep that sentiment to himself and quietly back away from it. But, I mean, people also flop to try to get a breather, Mark. I went to go see the San Diego Waves in the summer. And some of the women's National League, women's
National NWSL, excuse me,
games, or even the professional women's games, compared to men's games, that San Diego Waves game had almost 5 minutes of stoppage time. And I would say most people attribute the women's game to having less flopping. But still, when a hard tackle happens, even a player on the women's side, which has a reputation for not flopping as much, they'll still stay down and kind of catch their breath and draw out the game timer and build up that stoppage time.
Leon Huang with it as he turns to his right, turns to his left. He's inside. He's got a guy down the middle of the box. Here's the shot. Goes up over top of the frame. So a lot of movement there as Ricardo Michel ends up skying this one over top of the crossbar, and it ends up as a goal kick. But I think it also goes to both of your guys' point. At what point does it go, okay, I can go through this contact, but also if I keep going through this contact, it will escalate, or I will keep being prevented from playing my position as I can be. So at some point, you don't necessarily over-embellish the call, but you do show the official, hey, something is happening here by the way that you react.
Yeah, and I think most sports, for the most part, have a kind of a handle on it. But, and to pick on an Olympic sport here and kind of walk us away from the broadcast as we do, I think fencing is a perfect example of a game and or sport that has been over-gamified, potentially. The original was sword fighting and that sort of stuff. And modern fencing, competitive fencing, I would argue, Mark, as somebody who's done a little bit of fencing, taken some classes, I think also watches fencing, doesn't resemble what the sport was born from.
No, but I think that's true of a lot of sports, that they've all changed and they don't look like they did in the past. And it can be for a variety of reasons. Safety reasons are brought up and everything else. But you have to take a breath,
Like the helmet
too.
covers.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Guardian caps.
Yeah, I mean, you have to take a breath, too, and say, does it make the game as exciting? Does it make it fun to watch? And, you know, if you got rules, then have rules, but live by the rules and die by the rules. And that brings up this game, not this particular game, but on the community college level, I know many times people will complain about inadvertent handballs and how they don't call them. I mean, I think, if the game was meant to be played a certain way and we're not just looking for the safety of the athlete, then let's play it that way. Let's don't bend the rules or redefine them while the game is being played.
I think Ryan kind of summed it up perfectly when we were having a similar-ish chat with Ari a week ago, and I think you have to, kind of the point you're walking up to, Mark, you have to figure out what is the spirit of the game and enforce the rules as you understand them as you understand the spirit of the game.
Well, I mean, it's like we'll see it too when a team is getting beaten so bad that it seems like the referee changes their opinion on calling things. Why should that happen? I mean, I don't think that's right. If you're calling it this way in the first half when it's close, call it that way in the second half when it's horrible. Hey, are we getting a gift down here? Is that what we're getting? Are they bringing a gift to us?
No, I think we had a raffle earlier this game, so they're.
It is indeed. I believe it's a Cane's Care package. That's one of the things too, and not to go off the topic of conversation here, guys, but if you have the opportunity to come out to a Futbol Friday in person, there's a lot for anyone in the crowd to be able to not only watch quality community college football. This one's popped up in towards the middle. The cross is there, but the finish not quite as much. But there's a lot of stuff to keep engaged with. You have the opportunity to win stuff. You see quality community college soccer. And Mark, plain and simple, this is one of the better crowds that you can see in community college.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I appreciate the turnouts by the fans here. And the support of the parents is fantastic. This is one of the best booster groups I've ever been around on the community college level.
Well, and you and Corey always say it. I mean, Friday nights are for football, so come on to Fullerton College, enjoy Futbol Fridays, and like you and Corey like to say, Mark, best bang for your buck, some community college athletics.
Oh, you'll see the superstars of tomorrow when you come watch many of these teams.
Here's a shot there by Giovanni Sanchez, goes right over top. He had the frame there, and you see the bench signifying field goal is good, but it doesn't end up helping.
And, of course, talk about the superstars of tomorrow. Got Lorena down there with the rest of our athletic trainers. The best athletic trainers in the United States here at Fullerton College.
Yeah, we saw Lorena in full Halloween regalia yesterday.
Yeah, and you look at, like you mentioned, Lorena was out here in full Halloween regalia, and she continues to take care of these student athletes. Saw her end up joining the athletic trainers here on the pitch to keep care of this Fullerton College men's soccer squad as a dummy run ends up flying over towards Palacios. Palacios off of his right hip looking for someone else, but instead it is Ricky Walker who's able to catch up to it just in time. 8:10 left on the clock here with Fullerton College leading it 2-0. So this one is checked down right back towards Palacios. He's looking for his second. Can't get that one to a teammate successfully, and it will go right back to the Hawks. Hawks look to turn. Here's a chance for Dare. Dare on the left-hand side. Dare with it once more. He's got it back. That ends up going off of what looked initially like a Fullerton College elbow, but instead it goes out as a corner kick. And here's a chance for Santiago Canyon to not only get themselves right back in it, they can cut their deficit in half with a marker here.
That is how math works, right?
It is indeed. It is indeed. And you know what? It's great math, too, because it's simple numbers. You have 2. You put 1 on the board, it means it's exactly half. I don't have to calculate, tabulate, or even abacus anything.
Wouldn't it be Abakai?
No, I think it's still abacus.
Okay.
We'll call it multiple, though. Near side post, deflection is there. Barragan is able to stand his position and take it away. Barragan wanting to work with the time that he has. Possession is taken back by the Hornets. Leon Huang. Huang looking to his left. Now he's going to find someone in Syed Hussein. Hussein. Inside, outside, pokes it towards the middle. Almost gets that one to find a teammate's foot. Giovanni Sanchez thinking about taking a crack at it. Doesn't end up getting that one, and finally it is poked away.
You know, most teams, and we kind of talked about it earlier, most teams, last 10 minutes, last 5 minutes, last 3 to 90 seconds of the game, you can kind of relax a little bit and go, you know what, time's winding down. Sure, we're going to make some runs, but probably nothing of danger or consequence is going to happen in the game. But we were, again, before the broadcast, and I think we mentioned it on the broadcast, Fullerton College has found the ability to make some game-changing plays in those final moments.
Speaking of game-changing plays, here's Dare. Dare's going 1 against 2, but he's got the skill to do so. Still with it, moving towards his left foot, finally gets taken back. That is no call against Dare. He tries to poke it from a Hornet, and it goes off of his right toe and goes out. So a goal kick coming up for Fullerton as Dare almost has a chance there out of El Dorado to be able to get one on the board for Santiago Canyon. Clock continues to wind down with 5.5 left.
Yeah, even though it's 2-0, and Ryan, you keep saying if Santiago scores, they cut the lead in half. It feels like after the first half, as good as the second half has been, that a 2-0 lead when Fullerton gets it just seems enormous.
Yeah, I would say the second half, except for that last possession, I would say Fullerton College has seemed to have controlled the tempo, the momentum, the flow of the game, however you want to phrase it. Fullerton College has been in the driver's seat.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with their midfield tonight, actually. I think their midfield took control of this matchup. They were taking possession. They absolutely dominated time of possession overall, but anytime that Santiago Canyon wanted to push the ball up the park, it just seemed like Fullerton College was there to intercept passes or at least make them difficult to be able to connect on. Giovanni Sanchez will have to backtrack. Goes off the foot of Chris Busain. Busain now with his teammate Emiliano Medina. Medina sees this floated over towards Hussein on the left-hand side. Now Leon Huang. Huang back with it. Little back healer that goes over towards Hussein, but Huang was offside when he got up to that ball. So it goes back to Santiago Canyon with just about 4 minutes left in this one.
I feel like we're seeing kind of another dimension of Fullerton College's offense potentially developing in this game. It's those long drives, long runs down the wings, and then those bullet passes into the 6-yard box directly, you know, essentially in the goalkeeper's house. And we just haven't had a Hornet really connecting on a couple of those bullet passes tonight that could have ended in some goals. They were great plays, but either Fullerton players out of position, great defending from Santiago defenders, and great goalkeeping definitely from Santiago Canyon tonight.
Yeah, Saldivar has continued to work a masterpiece here tonight. Substitution coming in on the other side of the park for Santiago Canyon in the last 3 minutes or so. Taking a seat will be Matt Velasco for a moment, and he says, you know what, I'll just take to this sideline. We'll get a word on who the two guys coming in are in just a moment. Also taking a seat will be Tristan Radens. So Raden will exit along with Velasco, and one of the guys in for him is Tanner Ryby. Ryby also joined out there by Shane Valdez. Ricky Walker checks it right back down to Saldivar. Saldivar will see this one taken right back to Hudson Dare. Dare, little looper, left-hand side, lots of backspin. Chance for the Hawks, floated up into the sky. It's going to stay with Santiago Canyon. If they can catch up to it in time, they do. Here's Sermonelli. Down the middle, deflects twice. Right to the foot of Tyler Reed. Reed decides to go back to Dare, and it goes and deflects off of a knee and stays with Reed. Reed turns it over now to Palacios with 2 minutes left on the clock. Checked out, cut away by Shane Valdez, and with 2 minutes left, the clock will stop over to our right.
Yes, Mark?
Mark is saying, like he's trying to debate whether or not he wants pumpkin bread or banana bread tonight.
No, I thought he was debating if for next game we should have some hot Bovril that we can enjoy in the press box. Another cool night, hot cup of Bovril.
For those who don't know what Bovril is, Joe.
It's like a beefy paste. So you make it like instead of hot chocolate, it's like hot beef soup in a cup.
That's what I think of that. If I want soup, I'll have soup.
So you'll have Bovril.
No. I don't want broth. I want soup.
What's wrong with broth?
There's nothing there. It's flavored water.
It's not flavored water. It's got nutrients. It's got a lot of stuff you would like to have as a base of another soup or just to keep you warm on this very cold and crisp Fullerton night. In fact, if you had some Bovril out in the camera well, you'd be a lot happier.
Also, he's talking about not liking flavored water, and he drinks coffee.
That's
the
definition of flavored water.
No. Have you ever drank my coffee?
That is what that is.
It is exactly. I've been asked more than once how many years did I spend in the service, because I make Marine Corps coffee.
Here's Palacios taking a run down the middle, scooped over towards the left, just too far in front of Hussein. He's going to still have it to his right foot, takes a shot deflected there. And Saldivar picks it up and says, hey, let's run. We've got some guys. It's a 3-on-3 if Santiago Canyon can hurry. Here's Hudson Dare. Dare out in front. Dare with a chance. Barragan is there for Fullerton College. Hudson Dare so close there, Mark, to a one-on-one against Barragan, and Barragan is able to come out, cut off the angle, and take possession away.
And this is what makes this Fullerton College team excellent. You have so many individuals that know what to do at certain times. They just outthink their opponents. Not only do they outplay them, they outthink them.
So fantasy time. Let's talk about, we're saying this may be one of the best teams in program history. Last year, though, you would think would be the shoo-in. 2 All-Americans on the program. You put those 2 All-Americans on this team, does the team become a powerhouse, or could those 2 All-Americans change the chemistry that we're seeing on the field?
I think it changes the chemistry, not in a bad way, but in a different way, per se. It's just a different makeup of a program and a squad. As coming all the way up is Saldivar. He's going to come up for the corner, going towards the middle. Barragan gets a piece of it, so Saldivar is still inside the box. We are under 2 minutes left. In fact, we are in additional time, and here's an excellent chance here for Santiago Canyon. Goes all the way to the back over towards Hudson Dare. Dare looking for it. Now scoop towards the middle. Deflected twice. Reed with a shot. Goes off of 2, and that will end up finishing off this one. So a final of 2-0. Fullerton College with the win over top of Santiago Canyon. And Fullerton with the win now goes to 2 games up on Cypress in Orange Empire Conference play. With 4 matches left, once again, Fullerton owns the tiebreaker of head-to-head against Cypress. So that means that you're sitting at about 3 eligible games between those 2 sides, and Fullerton College leads it by 2. So we're going to finish this one up here, guys. Mark, Joe, final thoughts here as Fullerton College gets a 2-0 win.
Well, Joe, all I'm going to say is every time I watch Fullerton play, I get deeper in my own thoughts on where they're going to end the season. I don't see a crack in the armor. I don't see anything that would take them out of where I think they're going to be at. Of course, I'm going to look over at you. I know how competitive you are. You've been out here for every home game. I've got to see what your assessment is of this team.
Mark, out of Ryan and I, if this were the X-Files, I think I would be Mulder, and Ryan is over here being Scully. I want to believe. I think Fullerton College has a chance. I think they're going to make it. I know, Ryan, we need somebody to kind of say, hey, let's maybe not get excited. Let's not overestimate what might or could happen. But I want to believe aliens are out there, and I think Fullerton College could go the distance this season.
So there you have it, as Fullerton College ends up with a win. Really quickly, guys, we want to remind everyone that, as you saw at halftime, the Coaches Show will be premiering here tonight, and also you can watch it tomorrow morning as you get set for your weekend. You can watch Joe, Ari, and myself be taught by these same Fullerton College Hornets on how to play their positioning. Don't forget that Fullerton College coming up next week, we are going to have a Fullerton College Futbol Friday, if I can say that correctly. We will be back and on the air. But before we go, we do want to also bring up that we have the Hornet Media Election Night coverage coming up next Tuesday. That will be from 6 moving on. We will be live at 7. And if you want to know about your local races and keep in touch with what is going on in the local races, emphasis on local, whether it be the NOCCCD or the Fullerton City Council, we will be live on Hornet Media all Tuesday nights. So join us then. Join us next week for Futbol Friday as we talk to you then as well. For Mark Pavlovich, Becky Nguyen, Joseph Pavlenko, and myself, Ryan Osborne, you have been watching Fullerton College Futbol Fridays here on Hornet Radio. Fullerton with a 2-0 win over Santiago Canyon.